Battlefield will come back in an entirely new way, says Andrew Wilson, the CEO of EA. In their most recent investors report, they say that the franchise is still a meaningful part of EA's future. Andrew Wilson acknowledges that Battlefield 2042 had its issues, no shit, and that he takes ownership for it and will be helping build the game for the future. Now, they have no dates to announce for a future Battlefield game, but he went out of his way to tell people that he has extraordinary confidence in the team working on Battlefield. But given that he's speaking to investors, there's no way to know if he's actually being factual here. But despite the critical reception that Battlefield 2042 received, they're not giving up on it yet. And last thing, Andrew, if you're listening, I'm a big fan of Battlefield and I've loved it since the beginning all the way up to Battlefield 1. If you need help figuring out why Battlefield is not as celebrated as it once was, give me a call. But here's advice to every major brand that's out there that keeps falling off. If you're Halo, if you're Call of Duty, if you're Battlefield, you need to maintain what made you special in the first place and don't try to become the other first-person shooters. Battlefield has always been about big team class-based battles, open combat, on foot and in vehicles, and the spectacle of a war zone. It's not Call of Duty, it's not Fortnite. If you attempt to make it like that, you're betraying your fan base. Just think about it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 187 of the Tasty Cast, our weekly podcast where we talk about all things gaming. In this episode, we cover Overwatch's PVE getting canceled. That's right, canceled. We discussed that. We watched the teaser trailer to the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, Silica. We watch a video on that. It's an RTS and a first-person shooter. Then we also watch more bug shooting with Starship Troopers Extermination. Then we watch a video on the Street Fighter 6 official open beta hub trailer. They give us an overview on what they're going to be offering with that. Then we watch a video on Diablo 4 and its story. It's a behind the scenes video. It's very informative of the story going into it and their thought process on that. We also talk about the games we've been playing, one of them including Age of Wonders 4, which if you're curious about that, I have a lot to say about that game. And then, of course, we read you guys' comments and reply to them. So hopefully you guys enjoy this episode. And if you do, make sure to hit the like button. It helps us out a lot. Subscribe if you're brand new. Share it with your friends. And yeah, enjoy. What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 187 of the Tasty Cast, our weekly podcast where we talk all things gaming. My name's Seth, and joining me today, of course, is Chevy. Chevy, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good.
All right. Love to hear it. I'm not doing pretty good myself because I've been scouting the internet looking for things to talk about, and I got plenty of things to talk about for this Tasty Cast finally, but I think you actually set me straight on this. I was wondering for like the last 1 to 2 weeks, where's all the gaming news? And you were like, it's probably because they're getting ready for all the big reveals at well, not E3 because that got canceled, but
the week that would be E3.
Yeah, all the events. And then I remember that June 8th is Summer Game Fest, where I think Jeff Keighley's got like 40 people, 40 different companies partnered with them, and now it makes sense. But you know, that's going to be exciting. Well, we'll definitely be doing videos or live streams with that. But man, finding things to talk about gaming wise is so fucking annoying right now. So it's always really kind of a drought before and after all the big events. But yeah, looking forward to those. Otherwise, I'm doing pretty good in the physical realm. How I'm doing, you know, all that stuff. So anyway, we got stuff to talk about this episode. We got a lot of videos to watch, a lot of random things dropped recently. But before we jump into what we've been playing, you have actually brought up to me that Overwatch 2 had a PVE mode that was supposed to come out, and apparently it got canceled. Now, I've been following Overwatch 2 since it released and hearing a lot of the stuff that happened there. Now, I assume a lot of people are really enjoying it because I don't hear anything about it anymore. But I remember them talking about the PvE mode. So apparently that got canceled, and I figure we should at least discuss it. Now, I think it's fair to mention that neither of us play Overwatch 2. And if there was something I was looking forward to with Overwatch 2 is probably this PvE mode, because I thought that sounded interesting. From my understanding, before it got canceled, I think they were going to do a separate progression system with the PVE mode, which would have been huge, but apparently that's not going to be a thing. So we're going to go into this article real quick, talk about it from the perspective of two people who are not currently playing Overwatch 2. So, take that for what you will. And if you're not interested in hearing that, skip forward. But yeah, this is via IGN. It says Overwatch 2 PvE Hero Mode canceled, a difficult choice. It says Blizzard has officially scrapped Overwatch 2's long-awaited PvE Hero Mode, but the game's creative leads are assuring fans that PvE is still a focus for the game moving forward. Very interesting. On a Twitch stream detailing Overwatch 2's content roadmap, executive producer Jared Noose explained the decision to cut PvE content. In quotes, it says, development on the PvE experience hasn't made the progress that we have hoped. Did I read that correctly? Is that how it's written? Okay, anyway, News said the team has created a bunch of amazing content, so there's awesome missions that are really exciting. There's brand new enemies that are super fun to fight, and some truly great and ridiculous hero talents, but unfortunately, the effort required to pull all of that together into a Blizzard quality experience that we can ship to you is huge, and there really is no end in sight to or defined kind of end date where we can put that out into the world. Continues to say, and so we are left with another difficult choice. Do we continue to pour all that effort into PvE, hoping we can land it at some point in the future, or do we stick with this set of values that we have aligned on and focus on the live game and focus on serving all of you? With everything we have learned about what it takes to operate this game at the level that you deserve, it's clear that we can't deliver on that original vision for PvE that is shown in 2019. What that means is that we won't be delivering that dedicated hero mode with talent trees, that long-term talent power progression. Those things are just not in our plans anymore, and we know that this is going to be disappointing to many of you, which is why we wanted to bring it up before we talk about the roadmap. And to be perfectly honest, it's been really difficult for many of us and a lot of folks on the team that pour their heart and soul into that stuff. Now, this continues to talk about other big changes coming to Overwatch 2, but this is mainly the thing that we were going to talk about. And before I talk about my opinion on it at least, I do think it's really interesting how just straight up transparent they were about it, to the point where they're detailing what they had planned to do and that they straight up were just like, nah, we can't put the resources into this. Like, they had the choice, obviously, but they decided not to because they want to support the live game, being, the game that's out now. So what are your thoughts on this?
Excuse me. So I know a lot of those visions were made back when the previous guy was in charge of Overwatch still.
Kaplan? Something
like that, yeah. And I know for a lot of people, it was a appealing prospect. I know something that was asked for, in previous during like Overwatch 1 and stuff.
Yeah, I actually wanted that from the last game.
And I remember they showed off like example like talent trees and stuff like that or something. I didn't watch it when it came out. I just saw clips of it today when this dropped. So I'm sure, like they said, it's kind of hard to bring that up to drop that news on people and make that decision. But they made this announcement 4 years ago and there's been like no progress. So it does seem like they kind of stretched themselves too thin for what their ideas were. Is that necessarily the right decision? I mean, I don't know. I'm not part of that community, but I do think it is kind of unfortunate to have made, effectively these promises 4 years ago and now, coming out, because I know like they rushed releasing the game just so because they had announced it kind of early. They wanted to get in people's hands, like, well, the PvE will come later, you get the PvP now part. So yeah, it just seems like they're kind of struggling with aspects of Overwatch 2's development, and they want to hone in and just kind of focus on what Overwatch has been for them, and just kind of stick to it. So
yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that they overpromised. They bit off more than they could chew. it sounds like. I'm sure they could handle it, but the way they're talking about it right here, it sounds like they're choosing not to handle it, and that's pretty disappointing. You kind of brought up a big question in my mind, as you know, we don't really play the game currently, that, you know, how will this affect the community? How many people were looking forward to a PvE experience? How many people are playing right now waiting for that, not getting that? Or are there people who are just like straight up not interested in that? Because a lot of times when I talk to people who play competitive shooters, they typically are either on one side or the other of that fence. They either want that single player or PvE experience, or they don't care at all. They're there for the PvP. And so I'm curious about how many people were actually hoping for that. Given that the amount of people who play Overwatch, but let alone like Blizzard games, is pretty vast. I think a lot of those people might have actually wanted that PvE mode. I could see myself playing that. I actually was really curious about that. That was the most intriguing thing about Overwatch 2 to me personally when they announced it, was that they were going to have a progression system and a PvE mode. That really would have been a huge change to what we get with the PvP, especially in a game that has so much lore to it. I think it really would have lended itself to some kind of cooperative mode with progression and storytelling, stuff like that. So for me, a person who doesn't play the game, it's pretty disappointing. So I'm really curious about how the community is taking this. So if you're one of those people, let us know in the comments what you think of this. I think it's kind of crazy how like the way they described it in this, when they're talking about this, they like talked about it in detail. They make it sound cool. It's weird how much they built it up. Like, oh, this PvE mode was going to have this, and this, but we're not going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a BlizzCon thing, I believe. So
yeah. Yeah. I don't think it says it in there, but yeah, probably. But yeah, it's kind of shitty the way they just like built it up and went like, you know what, we're not going to do it. But as much as I think it's disappointing, as much as I think it sucks that they made that decision and that they, feel like they can't do it. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know, if they literally just cannot do it. And, like you said, last guy made that decision. Now they're, with new leadership going like, we can't do this. And so maybe this is just like straight up how it is and they can't do it. And if I was in their shoes, I would 100% only focus on what you already have to make that better, especially with the rough launch that it had, with some of the criticisms I've heard of it, some of the balance issues I've heard about it. They got to make sure that it is a successful and viable game for long term. So you got to maintain that. You can't, start working on other projects if you don't even have that going fully. Even though I have people I trust in my personal life telling me that it's pretty fun. Overwatch 2, so I haven't played it myself, but I've heard decent things. I just know I had some problems, and every once in a while I read about issues rising up out of the community and balancing and microtransaction stuff. I think I read about, and so yeah, it makes sense why they're making the decision, but it sucks. I think that is a disappointing situation in my opinion. But I would love to know what people who actually play the game or potentially wanted to play the game for this think about it. So yeah, kind of sucks. Got anything else you want to throw up there? All right. Well, let us know in the comments what you guys think about the PvE mode, hero mode in Overwatch 2 being canceled straight up. Do you think it's the right move? Do you think it's the wrong move? Are you disappointed, but you understand where they're coming from? Or are you straight up like, no, dude, that sucks. Like you should have committed to that. Let us know what you think in the comments below when it comes to Overwatch 2 and that hero mode that does not exist anymore. All right, so let's jump into what we've been playing. Where we talk about what we've been playing. Chevy, how about you start us off with what you've been playing in like the last week or so?
Okay, I'll get the easy one out of the way. I've been playing Omega Strikers almost every day. I hop on. It has daily, weekly, and seasonal missions. I hop on, try to do my dailies, and maybe work towards the weekly and seasonals. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I got Chris to play with me a little bit. one day. I wasn't sure how he would respond to it, but I do know speaking of a competitive game, he does play Overwatch 2. So I know he
It would
can.
be great to have on the show.
But so I was like, oh, if I get him to try it, maybe he'll like it. And if not, whatever, at least try it, right? He ended up playing with me all day. So I assume he liked it. Or he's just really being nice and just humoring me for an entire day.
Mace really enjoyed the social interaction with you.
Maybe. He, I don't know what doing it. He went through some stuff. And,
But he's fine.
But he's fine, yeah. If you haven't played Mega Strikers, it is like air hockey meets MOBA-esque hero mechanics. So
Yeah, it's like a brawler.
has cooldowns and a super meter and stuff like that you have to keep track of. But it's a lot of fun. It's definitely kind of a good, like, hey, I just want to kind of play a couple rounds of something kind of thing. I don't really have games like that a lot of times, so it's been kind of nice for that for me. I tend to sit down and play very long games, which I will get to here pretty shortly. But they did release 2 new characters, or are releasing them really soon, so I'm interested to check those out. And if you do play, and I've forgotten her name now, but I main the witch girl who does like party buffs and debuffs for the opposite party, and then has a like giant attack that kind of grows and then travels in a straight line across the field. And I will play her usually as goalie or striker. So I think she kind of does both pretty well, at least for me. So
Yeah, I don't think I've tried her. I haven't unlocked her yet.
what I will say is most people play the characters that you start with, obviously. So like Juliet and Dubu, and I can't remember the main guy's name. The jackets that's kind of just hanging on his shoulders or whatever. Mm-hmm. They get played quite a bit, but out of characters that are purchased, I have seen a lot of people. They do play the one I play. The slime girl gets played a lot, and then the can't remember his name, but he's wearing glasses and has like a weird like hook thing. I've been seeing that one a lot more lately. So,
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
wish I could remember names. I can't remember people's names in real life though. So, so a tough one for me. But yeah, it's a fun game. It's on everything, cross-play, cross progression, including mobile. So, check it out.
Except for on if you have a Z Fold, the foldable Android phone, because I can't play it on my phone,
right,
which is annoying.
Yeah, and I assume it has to do with the fact that the type of phone it is.
Yeah.
So.
Even though the game's done a really good job at like working with the resolution, I know like when it's folded, the resolution's weirder because it's like a thin screen. It's like a chocolate bar. But like once unfolded, it's just like playing on a tablet at that point, like smaller tablets. I'm surprised they didn't at least format it for that.
Well, it might not have a tablet mode.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I don't know.
I'm sure they'll fix it. They'll update it, but not that I'm looking forward to playing it on my phone anyway, but I wanted to try it out.
I played it on my phone and I hated it.
Yeah.
I don't like touch controls, so it played just fine. I just without the feedback of a joystick, I have no idea where I'm running half the time. So
Well, in my head, I'm thinking if it has cross progression, you play it how you want to play it, whether it's on console or PC. But then if you're out and about and you want to do your daily or something, it'd be a really easy way to do it.
yeah, oh for sure. But I mean, you can also do it on Switch if you're the type of person who doesn't mind taking Switch places. So let's see what else. I played and finally beat Star Ocean: The Divine Force. It's a fun game, though I do think it is for pretty hardcore RPG fans, because I don't think your average person's going to enjoy the game. The story's okay. It's not great. It's not bad. It's okay. Serviceable. It has multiple endings, but none of them are really that deep. It's just kind of a like after the ending, your relationship with X person, here or there type of thing. and they all kind of are the same. But the gameplay was pretty good. The length of the game is pretty good, though. I do feel storyline wise, you fight the same bosses sometimes, multiple times, which I did find a little annoying. And then there's a lot of characters in the game, and you can't just like settle in and be like, I'm gonna play these 4 characters all the time, because there's multiple times in the story where characters are taken from you and then returned to you later, and so
those situations
do have to like round out your team pretty often. In one case, your entire team's split apart and you're one person, and you have to find them, and they could be in any order. So
that happens in so many JRPGs.
Yeah,
where they like take somebody. I'm sure there's like trying to force you into variety, but like when I was playing Tales of Arise, there's a couple parts where like you just lose party members, and I'm like, God damn it, dude! I was using that person.
Yeah, or it'll be like, this person's going to stick around to help someone, go do what you got to do and come back and get me type of thing, Yeah, but overall, it's a fun game. I don't think it's a main priority unless you're just looking for another game to play, but it's fine. I would probably give it a B-. I think a B- is pretty fair. I almost want to say C+, but I think it's a little harsh. So
yeah, that sounds pretty low to me. If it was C+, B- sounds respectable, but I haven't played it.
That depends on obviously how you look at grading systems. People see anything under an 8 out of 10, and they just assume it's a bad game. And my brain doesn't work that way. So
yeah, don't get me started on that system.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna go with B-. I do think it has more positives and negatives. It does have some stuff I think they could work on in future games, but I don't know how often Tri-Ace is making games either. So like, I don't know.
True. Yeah, I haven't heard that name in a while.
And then I started Ghostwire Tokyo.
Oh, yeah.
That game is visually a lot of fun. It's not like the best graphics ever, but the visual direction is fantastic. I love the effects and the room warping and stuff like that happens in that game. The unapologetic, just like Japanese references that they don't really go through a lot of explanation for, so you kind of have to know it.
It's a very Japanese game.
Yeah, I love it. You run into like yokai and oni and stuff like that while you're wandering through, I think it's Shibuya, through these events that are happening in the game. The weapon being basically like, I guess, key blasts of sorts through different elemental cycles with your hands, I think is a fun take on a gun. I don't think combat's super challenging, but
it's the closest thing to a modern day like Hexen.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to word it for sure.
Which is weird.
I also kind of like that, it has a finishing mechanic where you rip their cores out with like a energy bungee, cord basically. And that'll give you like quick victories, but you can be interrupted and then they'll heal up and you hit them again. You can just shoot them to death, but you get more ammo if you actually manage to break their cores instead. There's like multiple skill trees, which I was not expecting, and I think some of them are new. You said they did an update or whatever.
Yeah, they added new abilities, some kind of tower mode, a whole new area, and new side quests.
Yeah, and so I don't have a reference of what it was before or after, but like you said, you weren't familiar with one I had mentioned to you before, but the wind has a charge ability that you can kind of like rapid fire, like as if you had like a small machine gun instead. And then I just got one for what's the second element? Is it fire? I haven't tried it yet, but it also does something new now, which is the similar, like you hold the charge and then you hit I'm playing on keyboard and mouse, the Q button, and it'll do an additional effect. So I believe those are new, it sounds like.
Yeah, I don't remember doing that, but I also played the game when it came out, so my memory's a little fuzzy.
So there's just a lot of options for combat, which is kind of nice. Combat's not like super fast paced, so like even if you're not like completely adept at playing shooters, I think the pacing's totally fine for most people.
I don't really think it's a first person shooter for first person shooter fans.
Yeah.
I think like the pacing, and I'm not saying like the pacing of the shooting alone, but even like the enemies, the movement, everything kind of has like this flow to it that is like constant, but it's a lower tempo.
Yeah.
Because the way you use your abilities and the way you have to time things and you know,
And being able to find moments to finish people.
exactly, and
stuff
get
like
your
that.
ammo back, and then switch elements depending on what enemy types you're fighting and how much ammo you have. And there's like a lot of exploration as well. So this is a game that I really did feel like when I played it, it wasn't a game for the first person shooter side of me that just wants to get in there and unload on shit. It just happens to be a first person game, but
Right.
you know, it's more about the exploration, collecting, and obviously the combat, but it's definitely got its own thing going on.
Well, it's definitely like super heavily inspired by like Western style open world RPGs in design. However, they've done a fantastic job, thank you, of giving you very good direction. You have to unlock the openness of it as you go. And so like if you're like me and you have to focus on like, singular objectives at a time, I was able to, I'm like, well, I have access to this small area right now. I'm just going to take out what I can in this small area, and then I can move forward and kind of hit up that next hub, and et cetera, et cetera. And so like I don't have this crazy overwhelming, like all these notifications on my map at once. It's like gradual as I'm progressing through the story.
Yeah, there's a structure to how the open map progresses, the way it opens up wherever that feels very like it doesn't. I guess it's technically linear, but once you're like in these zones that just keeps opening up, but it just feels very structured. So it allows you to complete some side quests here and the main quest, and then you move forward, you get some more side quests, and then the main quest, and you just keep moving forward. And for a game that's not like super long, which I kind of appreciated, I also liked that there's some open world games where you can just lose yourself. And this game, I had other games I was playing as well. You can lose yourself in the collecting and the exploration in the city, which I think is awesome looking. But because it was so structured, it was really nice to just be able to go through the game and beat it.
The game also has like a crazy amount of verticality, which is pretty bizarre. Getting up and down at first for a very short time is kind of a hassle. You eventually get some tools pretty early on that you can just launch yourself around, which is very convenient. Thank you. I hated trying to climb up buildings. Yeah, the enemy designs are dope. Like the style is just really cool. There was a side mission I had where I had to like catch a kappa, and watching. I was expecting a giant, turtle, and it's just this tiny little turtle.
Was that in the fountain or something like that?
Yeah. And it's just swimming around. You have to like stay out of sight or also run away type thing. At first I was like, dude, I hate this hiding from them thing. But listening and like to it, like look around and be kind of paranoid about humans and stuff like that. I don't know. It was fun. And they did a good job of like its look. Like it looked like what I expected. It was just very tiny. Collectibles are worth something in this game, which more and more games do. But I hate, you put a bunch of stuff on the map, you collect them, and like, here's an achievement, and that's it. That doesn't do anything for me. But in this, you sell them to these vendors all over the map, and they give you money and occasionally cosmetics and these little reports from KK. So I like that because it gives you a reason to collect stuff. The tanukis are also very fun to find because they're just like hiding out as like random objects in the world. One of the ones that was memorable for me so far was like going down this alley, and there's this little tiny temple arch that you can't fit under, and there's just a little tail hanging off of it. And I was like, this is dorky. What are you doing in here? So I think that's fun. Yeah, the gameplay loop is going to be familiar for anyone who plays, games like, Far Cry, etc. You get to temple, you unlock more map. It's kind of the same as like the bird's eye thing in Assassin's Creed. Thank you. Brain just stopped.
The band.
And yeah, overall I'm having a good time. My favorite part is definitely the story the story and the visuals though are fantastic. I can't get over just like the visual effects they give when you're experiencing like some supernatural stuff in that game, and sometimes like, you know, being teleported to otherly realms and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it, because when I played it and beat it, I was like, I think Shelly would like this. So
yeah, I do get stressed out sometimes because they are, they came from a horror background, and so they're really good at making an eerie atmosphere. Fortunately, they're
funny.
not trying to jump scare me, but
yeah, they said when that game came out that it's not a horror game, but it's horror themed, because they'd made horror games before, because they want people to play it, because they don't want that people to be afraid of, you know, oh, I don't want to play it 'cause it's scary. And then when Hi-Fi Rush came out, they made a reference to how they make horror themed games, and that this one is not at all horror themed.
Yeah.
He's like, I know we have a past of making horror themed games. This is not at all. So yeah, even the game that's not supposed to be scary apparently is still spooky enough. So
yeah, there's been a couple moments where I was like, I don't like this. Like, how do I do this without spoilers? When you're heading to someone's apartment for the second time, and all you have is a single weapon. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
yeah.
That whole time is like super creepy, because you get kind of spoiled to having more tools, and then they're kind of taken from you for a temporary amount of time. And I was like, I hate this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I hate that too.
and then yeah, the first time you run into the scissor one, because they do just kind of jump scare you with that one. But I don't know, obviously I got through it. So, but yeah, a lot of fun. Other than that, I don't think I've played anything worth mentioning. So,
All right, well, my list is very short. I have been playing Chivalry 2 still. I'm playing it on PC. I will not talk about my opinion on the game still, though, just because we got to talk about it for Plus Club. It's one of the games on PlayStation Plus we'll be reviewing at the end of the month for Plus Club. Those games, of course, are Grid Legends, Descenders, and Chivalry 2, which I have played on console, and I have my opinion there. But I am playing it still. I think I've put about 20 hours into the PC version as of late, so I'm playing it. So that gives you a little bit of insight on what I think of it, possibly. Maybe I hate it so much I'm playing it a lot.
just hate playing.
Yeah, I'm like, man, this game's so bad. I'm just going to keep playing it to farm horrible footage for it. So yeah, playing that. Been playing with Josh. Been lobbing heads off. Just trying to perfect my fighting ability. I played the 3v3 mode, and that really brings my competitiveness out. Like, I get frustrated if like we kill the other team, or I kill like two dudes. I'm like unfairly just like, hell yeah, dude, like you guys had no chance. But then like some dude will just like fast swing, drop, cut my legs, kick me back, and like before I can even think about anything, they kill me. I'm like, what the fuck was that? How'd you even do that? So yeah, I get a little amped up playing that mode, but it's a lot of fun. That mode, not the game. We'll talk about it. But yeah, that's what I've been doing with Chivalry 2, and still haven't played Last Epoch. That's our game of the month. We'll do that. We'll probably have a whole day where we just sit down and play it for hours. So yeah, got to play that still. But the other game I've been playing a lot lately, I've also put like 20 something hours into, and since this last weekend. So been playing a lot, is Age of Wonders 4, which if you don't know what Age of Wonders 4 is, I didn't either until like last Friday. Yeah. I've never played Age of Wonders 1 through 3. I think I've heard of them before, but I never really looked into them too much. But if you're wondering what Age of Wonders 4 is, it is, what do they call it, a 4X game?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, essentially it's a Civilization. If you've played Civ before, you'd be very familiar with what Age of Wonders 4 is. Essentially, it is a strategy game where you play as a race. You can either play as preset ones or make your own, from like dwarves, elves, mole people, goblins, humans. One of the presets is a skeleton type race, but I think it's using like human characteristics. There is orcs, rat people. There's a lot of races in the game. So yeah, you pick one of these races. They have their own traits, or if you make your own race, you get to pick your own traits for that race. And then you are either playing through a campaign, or you can play random games, or you can play with friends. And you have a big map. You spawn on it. It's all random. I think you can make your own maps though. And then yeah, you build up your races, civilization, very similar to Civ. You move on tiles, you move armies around. Every army has like 5 units in an army. And then you start working on building up your cities, building up, farms, mines, all sorts of things, growing your borders. There's diplomacy between the different civilizations. So you can be friendly with them. There's also war. The game has a system where you can either auto battle or go into a more turn-based RTS style combat. If you're playing with people, I would recommend you do the auto battle unless you really need to be involved with that fight, because Josh did a fight manually when we were on turn 2, and he was in there for like 10 minutes, and I was like, yeah, we should just do auto battle unless you really feel like you need to be hands-on with that battle, because it gives you a gauge, and it's pretty accurate. It's like you're very likely to win, or it's going to be kind of close or whatever. And if you've been building up your leader in a certain way, it's going to give you an edge anyway. So we typically auto battle just to get the process going, because if you've ever played a Civ game, you know that turns can last a while, and a game itself can last all days.
Yeah.
And this game's no different. The thing that differentiates this game from Civ in a lot of ways is obviously its fantasy styling. There's the map we're playing on is very like just grassy fields, but there's some very fantastical maps you can play on. But also it's interesting. You have your main leader, which would be your person throughout history in Civ, and as you play them, they level up, and every time they level up, you get to pick a new ability for them, or a new trait. There's ones for combat, ones for other things, defensive ones, all sorts of stuff. And then as you create new cities or capture other people's leaders, you get new leaders, new heroes essentially, and they also have their own skill trees as they level up. So you have all these different guys, and you can lose them permanently, but your guy, if you have it set up, will respawn after a while if he dies. So yeah, you have all these guys that are leveling up. There's also gear in the game. So like you find it randomly on the map when you're exploring or killing, what is the equivalent to like barbarians in Civ. And this is like this infestation that grows. And you find gear, you find new weapons you can equip. So like my guy starts out with like a warhammer, but later you might find like an elemental weapon or something. If you're using a 2-handed weapon, you can't ride on mounts. But if you have like a 1-handed weapon and you find like a frost wyvern, you can hop on it, and your character on the map will actually be flying on it. It can move more tiles, which changes a lot of things up. So there's like actually gear in the game. And if you defeat other leaders, whether you decide to kill them, send them back to wherever they came from, or keep them imprisoned, you get their gear, which is interesting. Kind of gives this, I assume if you played against real people, a competitive edge to the game that I think is kind of interesting. Yeah, so you're kind of crafting characters and getting gear, which gives it this almost RPG element to it. It also has random things that happen that I think are really neat. You obviously can run into other people and talk to them and have diplomacy. But for instance, I had a free city on the left and right side of my my place's borders, and they have something called a whispering stone. You can put it on a free city, and you start influencing them, and through different actions you start growing this bar, and at the very end of that bar you can actually have them just join your civ. So I was doing that with the guy to the left, but the guy to the right kept like giving me problems every once in a while, but nothing too bad. But a random event popped up randomly that the guy to my right, I think the place is called Stronghold, is this event that popped up. It gives you this whole dialogue you're reading through from the leader of that guy, and he's like, somebody in your government said this about us, blah blah blah. We won't take that. You can either, at the sacrifice of morale for your city, apologize for her and make it right with him, and it increases your relationship with the free city. Or you can be like, no, she said what she said, and she can say where the hell she wants, and that will increase morale for your people but lower relations with that guy. So if your relations are like really good with him, you can sacrifice that. Or if you want to go to war with him, drop it down. And then there's a third option. I forgot what it was, but I think you can just ignore it, and I think it's negative in most ways. But yeah, so it has like random things like that pop up. There's also a random event that happened, whereas like your leader is like, my main guy is like reflecting on his past and how he got to where he is, and it gave me like 7 options of like a backstory for my guy. It was like, oh, you fought to get here, or oh, you went through schools and learned all the scholarly stuff, and any one of those you pick, you get a random reward. They're all positive. It's just whatever you want, but it's kind of neat that it's using a system to kind of make your guy have lore now.
Right.
So that's cool. And then there's another one that's kind of neat. I forgot what it is now. But anyway, you get all these like random events that are pretty cool. And then there's also 2 layers to every map. There's an underground and above ground. And some people just start underground. Some people start above ground. You can go up and down. But like I made a mole race and they spawned underground. And like it's a whole different world down there.
Yeah.
There's also the ability you can get in a overall skill tree that uses something called Imperium, which is essentially just EXP in this game. You don't have to spend it in there, but there's features in the game that you can unlock through that system, and there's like 6 trees. And I think it's like the first or second on the bottom tree allows you to dig where you can. And so when you're underground, there's like walls that you can break down if you have that ability. So if you have that ability early on, you can start getting around underground faster than other people. There's places above ground too, I think you can dig, but I don't remember what. But yeah, from there you can also get the ability to like make roads. You can travel faster in your territories, stuff like that. There's a tree for combat. So if you're being more aggressive, you're more of like a barbarian style civilization, you can go down that tree and start getting benefits to getting rewards for taking out people, taking out the infestation, stuff like that. So there's like a lot of layers to this game of like just progression. It's not just about the strategy and the civilization aspect, which is really well done. There's a lot of random variables per match that makes it feel, it sounds kind of weird, but kind of gives me that vibe you get from playing like Battle Royale, where like every match, the random elements of what gear you find, like you're going to play and hopefully play decently every single time, but maybe you start and you get like a legendary gun this time or whatever, or even like a roguelike. I know it's not appealing to you, but every match, and Civ kind of feels like that as well. Every match is different. You got different Civs you got to go up against. They got different personalities and stuff like that. And this game does too. But yeah, all the different things that you find on the map, all the different events that happen are random enough to make things different and interesting. And also kind of reminds me of like Mario Party, how like random things will happen that like you were winning and now you're not.
Yeah.
Not to that frustrating of a degree, but more so just the variety that makes it interesting. Yeah, the AI for the game is pretty decent in terms of like playing against bots. Enemies seem to be either positive towards you, and you can definitely work with that, or they're kind of neutral, or they just hate you as soon as they meet you. And then there's other factions you'll run into that are like definitely just barbarian style civilizations, because as soon as you meet them, they declare war on you. They're like, yeah, we're gonna come get you. And I'm like, whoa, okay, like slow down. What's nice though is other civs will notice if someone's being evil, and it justifies other people doing things to them. People are like, yeah, I get that. Like they're obviously bad. For instance, me and Josh were playing. He picked up as well. And first off, this game is a lot of fun with friends, because like it's just like in Civ, I'm like off in the corner doing my own thing, just building my Civ up, and he's doing his thing. But the whole time we're like, talking and bantering or whatever. I'm telling him about what's going on down here. So that's a lot of fun. But we were playing, and I think this is his like first round ever in the game, or first game, and so he's learning the systems and stuff. But he decides he's going to be very aggressive. We're gonna work together. We're gonna have a treaty. We're gonna have open border stuff like that. But he decides, he's like, yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna be aggressive. He sees one of the leaders of a place. There's an ocean between us. I'm on the lower half of the map with this dude named Alfred, I think his name is. And then up top, it's him and this chick. And there's all these free cities everywhere we're dealing with. A city named Gore Pit, a free city, instantly was like, hated me and started sending all these fucking war parties after me until I just went over and killed enough of them that they're like, whoa, okay, hold on. We're treaty. I'm like, okay. But yeah, the leader, this is really weird because a lot of times they stay around their city. The leader of the place next to Josh up north, she was just walking down the beach, I guess. And Josh is like, what the fuck is she doing out here? And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, I'm going to kill her. So he ran out there and he just attacked her and took her out. And after that, his relation with her just instantly was bad because she respawned. He didn't realize she was going to respawn. So she gets pissed off at him. And then I got this Alfred dude who I have like shoved in the bottom left corner of the map. I've like completely taken up so much land around him that he's just like constantly pissed at me. He starts sending boats up towards Josh, and Josh starts fighting him. And then he starts fighting her. And then she declares war on Josh. And she like comes in and she starts taking out his armies. And he's like, what the fuck's going on? And then Alfred declares war on him. And he starts sending boats up there. And he starts getting killed. And I'm like, it's tricky for me because I'm like, I'm going to see if there's a way I can like diplomatically stop them from attacking you. But like, this is an awkward position for me to be in because like your character, literally when I highlight your character, it says evil.
Yeah.
So they're both just like, we're going to kill him. And then the chick he's fighting against, she's like sending me fucking messages. She's like, I really like what you're doing. We should have open wars and work together. I'm like, this is so awkward, Josh. What are you doing? And I was like, I'm down to take them out later, but like, I'm still trying to build up my stuff. I'm trying to get my army set up, and I'm still battling all this infestation that keeps like growing around my place. So, yeah, towards the end of our match, he was not having as much fun as he was having originally when he was stomping people, because now he's got two armies coming after him. But I learned that lesson as well. I played a solo match at one point and got into a fight with somebody. I had two people who were upset with me, but I was like, I'm just going to take this guy out before they both attack me. So I attacked the guy on the left side of the map, and when that happened, the one on the right's like, I'm declaring war on you, and I'm like, shit. So I learned the ageless lesson that Germany has always known: you don't fight on two fronts. And I got completely decimated because I had two people fighting me in two different areas. I had to spread all my resources in two different directions, so it was pretty rough. But yeah, I've been playing it. I've already thrown in 20 hours into the game, and Precious did that over the weekend. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I would highly, highly recommend this game to anybody who likes Civ, as this is probably my second favorite Civ style game, easily. I think it does everything the way it should be doing it. So I don't really have a whole lot of complaints with it. And then also, anybody who's curious, I tried it on Steam Deck and it plays great. Runs good. It's actually set up for controller. So you have all the inputs on screen, like Y, B, A, it's Xbox controller setup. And everything works with the joysticks, and it's fully functioning, and really kind of a good game for if you're like on the go and you wanted to throw some turns in. It's got cross save obviously through Steam, so that's nice. And yeah, super. It's funny, I bought this game on like I'll just rolling the dice because me and you looked into it,
yeah,
and we're both like, oh, it looks kind of neat, but there's a lot of 4X games out there, and I don't even play Civ that much anymore. But just mostly because like I don't want to put the time in, I guess. The social element's always the fun part of that. But anyway, I was like, fuck it. I want to check this out and see if it's any good. And like as soon as I started playing it, I just was like playing it. And I think the first day I played it, I put in just like 11 hours straight, just cracking out on it. So yeah, it definitely scratches that itch. So definitely recommend it. And definitely want you to try it so you can give me your opinion on it, because I feel like you're gonna like it. Yeah. Other than that, I don't think I've played anything else. I've just been playing Chivalry and Age of Wonders. So apparently, I'm just all about kingdoms battling, which is weird.
Whether it's fantasy or not.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
Let us know in the comments, what games have you guys been playing? What games are you planning on playing this month? What games do you think we should be playing? Have you played Age of Wonders 4? And if you haven't, are you gonna, if you're into those kind of games? And if you are into Civ-style games, what's your favorites? Whether it's Civ or more fun, possibly, a game that's not Civ that you like a lot that's similar to Civ, because yeah, I'm just really cracking out on this game right now. So if you got any suggestions, there's one me and you played that had a similar system where when you went into combat, it was like an RTS kind of, and neither of us can remember what game that is.
I can't remember at all. And the only other one I can think of that I've played, and it's not the one that those systems are in, but Endless Space was another one.
Yeah, that was a cool one too.
So, but yeah, I don't remember which one we played, because it has a lot of similar functions where you have like the battles you can auto or manually go into, and
yeah, I was like, I remember this. I was like, but from what?
Yeah, I drawing a huge blank. That was years ago. So
yeah, weird. All right, well, let us know what you're thinking about when it comes to games you've been playing in the comments below. Okay, we got a bunch of videos to watch today, and yeah, we're talking about a lot of things you and I are not big fans of, but it's worth talking about because it's gaming related. Five Nights at Freddy's is getting a movie, which I already knew was happening, but the teaser has come out. They're making a movie of Five Nights at Freddy's, which I don't know if you know anything about Five Nights at Freddy's.
Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, it's a horror game where you play as a dude who's like doing security or some shit for a Chuck E. Cheese overnight, and you're trying to survive until like day.
Trying to avoid the jump scare.
Yeah, it was super popular. There's like 8 of these games now, I think, and I think I played one of them once, and I was like, yeah, I get as an indie game why this game is like popular, but it wasn't enough for me. But I thought it was really interesting that they're making a movie of it. It's quite the jump for an indie game that definitely has its following in the gaming realm. But
I mean, Vampire Survivors is getting a TV show, so
yeah, that's fucking wild. I don't understand. Like there's got to be just like I said this fucking months ago. The MCU is dwindling. It's not as popular as it was, and I think companies are looking at games now.
Yeah.
And they're like, what game can we get to pick up? Because they already played with it a little bit with, obviously The Witcher's based off the book, but like the popularity of The Witcher recently is because The Witcher 3. And you know, it just seems like they're starting to kind of dip their toes into video game stuff again. And
Sonic
they're trying to snatch
Mario
up.
were successful.
True. Yeah, exactly. So I think everybody's going to start trying to get their fingers in all the pies. So Five Nights at Freddy's is definitely one of them. I think this is being done by Blumhouse as well, which is a studio that does horror movies. So that's kind of cool. And it's kind of crazy.
Universal says it means it's going to be at the theme park or what?
Maybe they might have on their Halloween nights thing. I forgot what it's called.
I know, and I'm only bringing this up because I feel like they could make an attraction this way, but in Universal Studios Japan, they have a Monster Hunter virtual reality experience, and it's just a giant warehouse where you put on a bunch of VR equipment and did Monster Hunter.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, they could do a Five Nights at Freddy type, because they do a lot of screen stuff anyways at Universal.
I can see at the very least them doing their like little like mazes that they make during Halloween, and you walk through and there's just Five Nights at Freddy's.
They already
people.
do a Walking Dead thing.
Yeah. So I could see them easily doing that. Yeah. But besides that point, which I mean is a good point, that could be a thing. Maybe we'll see some more Five Nights at Freddy's in the future in more ways. But we got an official teaser, so we're gonna watch this. Real quick too, if you guys don't know, we do a thing called Tasty Flicks. It's linked down below where we review movies, anime, mostly anime lately. That's all I got the time for, really. But yeah, just talking about movie content here. We typically do it over there. So if you want more stuff like this, go subscribe to Tasty Flicks. Okay, you ready to watch this?
Yep.
All right, this is Five Nights at Freddy's official teaser in 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, where fantasy and fun come to life. Hit it, guys.
I got that 90s color scheme going.
True.
If you're watching this video, it means you've been selected as Freddy's newest security guard.
Hello?
At least they don't got to do much to try and keep this like accurate to the game.
We're going to have so much fun
True.
together.
All right. What do we think?
I mean, obviously, from someone who doesn't play these games, I am aware there is a lore that happens, in these games or whatever. But just from a visual standpoint, it seems pretty accurate to me.
Yeah.
It also, I don't watch horror movies, but it looks like they got a pretty decent idea on their hands on what they're doing with it too. So it's a pretty short trailer, so who knows what the end result's going to be. But
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like an adaptation of Five Nights at Freddy's to me. So
Yeah, it looks legit. The first thing I'm thinking of though, like with how well lit it is and stuff, is this actually going to be scary,
Right.
or is it just going to be kind of like just more fun horror,
Right.
or are they going to go for gory? I don't know what this is rated, but I would hope they would go for something and not just be like, oh, this is an adaptation, check it out. But as for adaptations, we're in a time now where it seems like more often than not now we're getting better adaptations of games. I don't know if we're quite at the point where like they're like the best thing ever, but they're getting better. And this definitely does look like Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, you could have showed me this without telling me what move this is, and I'd be like, oh, that's Five Nights at Freddy's. Like,
Yeah.
that's interesting. And the premise is so simple that, like, to nail the accuracy, the thing that people are going to complain about the most, I think is going to be really easy to do, especially, in a game. I'm sure there is deeper lore, and they'll probably explore it in this as, things are happening. But, just the basic concept of being, like, a security guy overnight, trying to survive these animatronics, I think they're going to be able to do that just fine. So, I'm actually, if I'm being honest, interested. I'd like to see a full-on trailer, maybe get some dialogue on what's going on. But it looks legit, and I'd probably see this in theaters, just out of a strong curiosity of how they handle it, but also, like, it looks good. Looks good enough. Looks like it might be fun. So
also just, support seeing movies in a theater.
True. Yeah. I've seen a couple movies lately in the theater, and it's been kind of nice.
Actually, every movie we've seen in theaters this year have all been good. So
Yeah.
that's been nice.
Yeah, it feels like Hollywood is starting to back away from the easy money of superhero movies and starting to embrace trying to do something else. They're definitely going to try and find their next superhero cash cow, but the mid budget movie is slowly making a comeback.
I think it kind of has to with the drop in people going to theaters. They have to make money off these things. So
yeah, and especially if you spend the shitloads of money it takes to make a Marvel movie, and then if they don't do what you're hoping they used to do,
or Avatar,
you I don't know if they're losing money, but they're not making the money they want. So it's horror movies have always been like really a safe bet for production companies because they're low budget and they make more money back typically.
Well, especially if like it's your first movie too.
It's easy to make a horror movie compared to a sci-fi movie. It's very difficult to make a sci-fi movie on the cheap, unless it's more of a psychological sci-fi idea. But yeah, so it's interesting to see like that mid-range budget movie coming back. Like I watched Evil Dead Rise, and it wasn't the best thing in the world, but it wasn't bad either. Like it was fine.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy to be able to say the movie's fine, because typically like when I watch like a straight to streaming movie on Netflix, I'm like this is made for 9-year-olds. Like this pretends like it's an adult movie because there's some blood and they say fuck.
Yeah.
But like the dialogue is written by children for children. It insults my intelligence. And so I definitely embrace, movies come to theater that are just entertaining and fun.
Yeah.
And it seems like we're getting that. And this could very well be that. I'm kind of going on a rant here, but yeah, I'm stoked to see that that people are making movies that look interesting, and video game adaptations we're getting. And I said this, I think, years ago, but I was talking about how like a lot of people who are producing video game movies don't care about video games. They're like old boomers. They're just like, yeah, that sells well, right? Just make sure it looks like it, and then we'll just sell the brand to them. But it doesn't matter if it's actually accurate or not. It's been years, and it's people our age are getting into those positions where they can make those decisions, and the accuracy starts mattering more. You got people from the devs actually getting more hands-on with this stuff, like Neil Druckmann with The Last of Us, and so I think there's a respect slowly coming into video game properties that should have been there a long time ago with their movies. I mean, the Mario movie has got to be such a redemption arc for Nintendo in terms of like, every time I talk about Mario, people are like, dude, the first one's awesome. Yeah, it's fun to watch in like a Tommy Wiseau way, but it's not a good Mario movie.
Oh, no, for sure. But so it is entertaining to watch.
Well, like after that movie and its reception and the mess that it was to make, Nintendo was like, we're not making a Mario movie again. Like that, right. What the fuck was that about?
Yeah.
But they've made it now, and it seems to have, we haven't watched it, but it seems to have been well received.
I've heard nothing but good things.
Yeah, so that's cool. So hopefully this gets the same reception, though. Hopefully people watching, they're satisfied with it, especially anyone who's a big lore junkie of Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm not that guy, but I'm definitely going to see it. So, yeah. Anything else you want to say? All right, let us know in the comments what you guys think about Five Nights at Freddy's, the official teaser for the movie. Are you excited for a movie based off this franchise? And what are you hoping from it? Does this look accurate to you? Let us know everything you're thinking about in the comments below when it comes to Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie. All right, first video game trailer we got is for a game called Silica, official announcement trailer. Now, I don't know a whole lot about this game, but I think the premise sounds interesting. This is a first-person shooter and RTS. It's going to be online. Somebody's going to be playing it like an RTS, and other people are going to be playing it first person.
Yeah, okay. This has been attempted in the past.
It has, yeah. This is one of those things where it's like, every once in a while we'll get a game that finally nails it. Like, I always say that like Phasmophobia is like one of the first times someone's nailed like true multiplayer horror, like a multiplayer experience that's actually scary.
Right.
Whereas, of course people have tried it before, but like, it's hard to scare multiple people. How do you get multiple people to get the one scare that's been designed? Phasmophobia kind of nailed it. And yeah, there has been first-person shooter RTS in the past, but they're always kind of janky. They're always kind of made like not by some big budget AAA company, so they don't get like the love and care they could possibly get, even though I hesitate to say that because AAA games aren't getting the love and care they fucking deserve right now.
True.
Coming out stuttering and buggy and all that shit. So, yeah, I figured we watch this and take a look at what they're doing and seeing if it's something worth keeping track of in the future. Also worth noting, now that I'm looking up at the videos, it might be in the title so you guys already know, but we're watching this, which involves shooting and bugs. And we got another video that involves shooting bugs. So there's a theme on this episode. Anyway, let's watch this so we can get an opinion on it. This is Silica official announcement trailer in 3, 2, 1, go.
In the year 2351, we discover Baltarus,
Actually went for an exact
an
year.
exoplanet located thousands of light years from Earth.
Almost draw on the spikes.
Buried beneath the silica crystals, we found Balterium, an element so unique it has the potential to power our society for generations to come. When we first landed there, we
So they
thought
found the
we
real
were
hippie
alone.
crystals?
We could not be more wrong.
So the graphics are not the best. They actually do look like if you zoomed into RTS.
Yeah. I think they're fine.
They're fine, yeah. They're not bad. There's not. It looks a little generic. So it looks like the RTS guy is going to be coordinating attacks and building infrastructure.
Yeah.
And then the first person shooting, I think he plays bugs as well.
It looked like it.
Yeah. So I wonder if the RTS person is just controlling like basic mobs, and then they'll be able to bring in like powerful guys you can take control of, or... Definitely has a Starship Troopers vibe to it.
Yeah.
All right, what do we think?
I actually think it looks really cool, to be honest.
That's why I lined it up.
I like RTSs. I'm not good at them, but I like them. I also don't mind certain types of first-person shooters. And
You like Battlefield.
And this is the type I'd probably be okay with. Though I probably would be more inclined to do the RTS aspect of it, but I wouldn't be opposed to trying the first-person part of it as well. And if it plays well doing both at the same time, I think that'd be a great multiplayer game, to be honest. I think the visual style, like you said, it's okay. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's completely serviceable.
Yeah, this comes down to playability for me.
Yeah, but I do think it looks promising in the gameplay department. So, especially because it kind of hits a couple different types of players. Like if you're not into strategy games, you don't have to be that guy. You can literally just be down there murdering stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have a friend, you have a me or a Chris, for example, who don't play a lot of shooters, they can be doing the building and stuff like that. And obviously you'd probably want to play in voice chat and communicate with each other and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's kind of cool. I'll probably keep my eye on it.
And if you're a person like me, you're going to want to do both. Because I love RTSs and I love first-person shooters.
For sure.
That's a really good point because a great example of the opposite is someone like Cody.
Yeah.
Not to pick on Cody in any way, but like I don't think he's a big RTS guy, but he's down to play a shooter for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So this would be a great game that you can get different types of people who play different kinds of genres of games to play together at the very least. Whether you're into RTSs or not, maybe you're just into strategy games, you might still find the appeal of strategizing, maneuvers and building things, micromanaging things. And then, if you're somebody who just like, oh, what are you guys playing? We're playing, Silica. It's like, oh, that's that game where you shoot stuff. Like, I'll just hop in real quick. And I just feel like if they do that formula right, like they could easily fuck this up and it'll just fall off and nobody will remember it. But if they make it fun, that formula would actually be super beneficial because they were bringing in more than one genre worth of people. So, the theory behind that style of game, I think could work really well. You just have to be able to back it up with good gameplay. Like we've talked about with the graphics, they're fine. The visual style is fine, but when it comes down to gameplay and how it works, that's going to be the huge thing here. And I'll easily overlook, the visual style. But I'm really curious about how it is going to work for like queuing up as ground units or being the RTS person, if it's just one person doing the RTS stuff per team, or if it's multiple people, or if it's something that like you're going in between on as well. I don't know if it's like, I've played games where it's like similar to like Battlefield where somebody's being the general, so they're able to call in certain things. So I don't know if it's something you would temporarily do, or if it's just a dedicated thing, which I hope it would be. Just because if you're playing this for the RTS aspect, you probably don't want to do a whole lot of ground stuff. Though I could see them doing, I think I kind of said this already, but I could see them, getting so much of whatever the resource in this game is that you can call in like big units, like, on the insect team, the big guys,
right?
Or, on the marine side or whatever, some kind of big tank or something. I don't know, but yeah. I'm really curious to see how it works, though, in terms of who gets to play what and how it works. But definitely has my attention. Definitely is a game in concept that sounds interesting, and says coming soon. So that's good because it looks playable. What we're seeing so far, it looks like the concept is done. It just comes down to content variety and what they plan on supporting the game with. So, but I literally saw this. I was like, that looks like a game Chevy would maybe play. So I wanted to get your opinion on it. So I'm glad it at least got you interested. So
yeah.
Anything else you want to say on it?
No, I think I'll just kind of keep my eye out and see how it goes. So
yeah, be a lot of fun though if the game's fun, but it'd be a lot of fun to get some friends together and play it. So
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, let us know in the comments, what do you guys think about Silica? What do you think about the gameplay we saw here? Do you think it's going to work? If you were going to play this, what would you want to play as? Would you want to play the RTS side? Do you want to play the first-person shooter side? And if you have information on this game, because obviously we didn't do our research on it, we just watched the video, maybe you can enlighten us on some of the gameplay mechanics and how things work. Definitely let us know and join the conversation. Definitely would like to know. I can just look it up, I guess. But if you know, let us know. And let me know what you think about it in the comments below when it comes to Silica. Next video is something similar, involving more people shooting bugs, but in a different way, more traditional way. If you grew up in the 90s and you saw Starship Troopers like I did, we got a Starship Troopers Extermination, captures the original film's relentless combat, video from IGN talking about the upcoming game. Before we watch this, it is a first-person shooter, supposed to be team-based, and they say it's supposed to have hundreds of bugs on screen at once. This is a game that I've been really interested in because, like I said before, I grew up seeing the movie, and who didn't want to have a game where you're just unloading on the bugs like in the movie. But I also feel like this game possibly could underdeliver. It's being made by the same people who made Squad, which is I believe it's Squad, an indie shooter. So it's interesting that they're getting their hands on this, and I hope they can nail it. But it's been really hard for me to get excited at this game from what I've seen so far, just because it looks serviceable, looks fine, but doesn't look as good as I'm hoping for. But the concept definitely has me really excited. This definitely seems like a game I would 100% play. But we'll talk about more after we watch some gameplay. Have you been following this game at all? Do you know anything about it?
You kind of made it sound like Left 4 Dead, though.
I think you get dropped in. You have to get some kind of resource and then get out. And then while you do that, random events happen, and then the bugs, of course, in swarms come and attack you. So it's Rock and Stone without the Rock and Stone. Yeah, Rock and Stone. It's a little bit of Helldivers. And yeah, a little Left 4 Dead-y, but we'll watch it. You can get your opinion and see if this is a game that you're curious about playing at all. This is Starship Troopers Extermination, captures the original film's relentless combat in 3, 2, 1, and go.
The 1997 cult classic movie Starship Troopers by director Paul Verhoeven is a relentless war film that leans heavily into the spectacle and over-the-top nature of intergalactic warfare. With the upcoming Starship Troopers Extermination from Beyond the Wire publisher Off-World Industries, the video game adaptation seeks to expand upon the film's chaotic and gory combat sequences for its focus on co-op squad-based action. I got an early look at Extermination ahead of its early access release on May 17th and saw its unique blend of large-scale combat and tower defense-style gameplay firsthand. And so far, it has the makings for a compelling twist on the original film's concept of soldiers out of their depth being thrust headfirst into a fight against an endless swarm of alien bugs.
Once your boot's on the ground, the infestation will feel relentless.
Extermination takes place decades after the original film and sees a new division of Deep Space Vanguard face off against the extremely hostile alien species known as the Arachnids, otherwise known as bugs. The squad of troopers takes on a variety of resource gathering and bug hunt missions, all while facing off against an onslaught of vicious arachnids that can easily tear your squad apart. The main loop focuses on running and gunning against the bugs, capturing territory, and building bases and ammo depots to mostly even the playing field against the opposition. Before each game, you get to choose from one of 3 different class types. The jetpack-wearing Assault class, a Heavy class that can pull up a mobile shield to hunker down and lay down suppressive fire on bugs, and a support unit that can call up medic drones to heal the squad. When the action goes off, Extermination features some solid shooting and team mechanics at work, including a helpful ping system. But as the infestation level increases, More bugs and new variants appear, pushing the need for more focused tactics and class skills to survive. The sheer scale of the onslaught can be overwhelming, especially when some of the sneakier bugs catch you off guard. But Extermination is fairly generous with the revives and respawns, allowing you and the squad to quickly get back into the action. On the surface, this setup is quite the norm for most other co-op focused shooters such as Warhammer 40,000 Darktide or the Left 4 Dead series. However, what Starship Troopers Extermination leans into is the sheer scale of the battlefield and the conflict. With large player counts of 16, battles are out in the open, forcing you and your squad to keep on the move to knock out the randomized objectives that take you to different areas of the field. While I did feel that there was some extended downtime in between objectives, which resulted in uneventful stretches of running around, the game's dynamic pacing and encounters mostly keeps a steady flow going. One of Extermination's most interesting additions is the surprisingly robust and engaging base building system. At the key building points across the map, your team can rapidly build structures to create defensive perimeters, traps, and vantage points for your group to defend yourselves against the swarm of bugs. During my hands-on, I worked diligently to get a wall in place, but as soon as I turned out, the rest of the base's defenses were already built up by the rest of the squad. My favorite moments from the preview session all came from the final sequences of each match, which focus on hunkering down to defend a derelict base and wait for evacuation. These blend the tower defense gameplay with intense close quarters action, balancing the need to repair structures while gunning down the bugs trying to get inside. The final push, no matter how well prepared we were,
definitely feel like they're doing a pretty good job of
intense and
capturing
challenging
the
and making for an exciting capper to each round. I really enjoyed the relentless nature of Starship Troopers Extermination, which captures the film's breakneck pace. At times, though, I did feel that its heightened action made some battles feel a bit too overwhelming to keep up with. Still, getting into the thick of it reminded me of the more intense moments from the movie, which the game captures so well. The upcoming early access release puts the game in a great place to refine its mechanics and develop its overall tone and vibe. At launch, the game will have its core map and set of classes, with new content dropping within the first year. While it often spends time recreating those movie moments, which is what many film fans no doubt want, there are periods where the game's original idea shows promise, and that was exciting to see. For more on Starship Troopers Extermination, check out the most recent trailer, and for everything else in the world of video games, head on over.
Segments, that's fair criticism, because that's something I would notice as well. What do we think?
Well, I don't know if I'll be doing my part, but I do think it does look interesting. I'd be curious to see realistically, what you have to say about it. 'Cause you already kind of brought up that you'll be picking it up.
Yeah, I've been planning on buying this since I heard about it.
But it might be something that I don't know if I'd play a whole lot, just because it does seem probably a little too stressful for me, to be honest.
Yeah,
but I could be wrong. It's hard to tell with the footage they provided, because it's cutting and jumping all over the place. So
yeah, I would like to see just like some straight up gameplay footage of like a whole match or whatever. But if it's already out, I'll just pick it up and I'll let you know. Yeah. But yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. The concept is the biggest thing that's exciting for me, is that it's a 16-player cooperative shooter.
It's wild.
When I originally covered this months ago, the information was that there's more than 3 classes, so it's interesting they've settled on 3, and that it was going to be a 12-player shooter, so that they upped the amount of people. Might have just been a balancing thing, or they figured out like, oh, we can add more people. With the amount of things happening on screen, it makes sense you would have that many people covering every direction. But yeah, the premise definitely is right up my alley. I like games like this anyway, and like I said, since I was a kid seeing that movie, I wanted a game where you're just unloading on bugs. And since then, some games have captured similar situations, but that this is actually that property is promising. I like that there's different classes. I'll be really curious to see what the progression's like and what kind of unlocks there are. If there's very few, that's going to be disappointing. I don't expect a lot, but I expect something to keep you busy while playing. But I think, you know, the real bread and butter of this game is going to be just unloading on bugs. But I am a big fan of longevity, and if the gameplay is just shooting bugs and you're not getting things for it, it'll lose its luster pretty quick for me. The base building is the most surprising aspect of this video for me. I knew there was going to be base building, but from what I originally read, it sounded like you're just going to be constructing certain things. I thought it'd be like a mission-based thing, like, oh, go construct the blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But that there's like a whole zone that is giving you freedom to build up walls and defenses. Gives me like a tower defense vibe, which I love tower defense games. So that's definitely something I'm interested in. And he kind of painted a clear picture that makes a lot of sense, especially the longer this game is out and the more comfortable people get with it. He was building on a certain area, and when we looked back, the whole place is already built. So that means everybody is doing their part, and you know, you're gonna get that streamlined where bases are going to get built pretty quickly, and people are going to know what the best things are to do and stuff like that. But that'll be interesting, and that definitely gives us a little bit of an edge in, you know, something it offers that other games where you're mowing down huge groups of enemies possibly don't offer the same thing. So pretty cool. I don't know, that looks pretty cool. Hopefully there's like weapon things you can drop down too when you're building your base to add to your defenses. It'd be even cool too if
I saw turrets.
Yeah, well, I would hope there would be, but it'd be cool too if through the progression you unlocked pieces for building as well. But I don't know. I'm not going to get too speculative here, especially if the game is already accessible. You know, they're done at this point, and only going to be adding more content. But yeah, overall looks cool. Doesn't look amazing, but it looks fun enough, and I will definitely check it out if I can and tell you guys what I think of it on the next Tasty Cast. If indeed it is out and playable right now. I did not know that. Yeah, pretty cool though, overall. Anything else?
Nope.
All right, let's know in the comments, what do you guys think about Starship Troopers Extermination? Have you played it? What do you think? And if you haven't played it, do you want to play it? Is this a game that's for you? A game that's not for you, possibly? What stood out to you in this video? What do you think looked the best? Do you think the combat looks good? What do you think about the classes? What class do you want to play? What class would you play if you played this? Probably support.
I probably Defender, honestly.
Defender. Yeah. I think they all sound cool. They're definitely all things that would be appealing to me, but I am a very aggressive run and gun kind of player, so I will probably play the Assault. Though in cooperative shooters, I like to have the ability to heal people because some people aren't as good about that as they should be. Yeah, let's know what you'd play, and we think about the base building, we think about the bugs, do you think they're doing the movie justice, and yeah, let me know everything you think about in the comments below when it comes to Starship Troopers Extermination. Next video we got is another kind of early access style thing. Street Fighter 6 has a beta coming out, and we got a video that's going to show the details of the beta Battle Hub overview. They're going to tell us what's coming with the beta. I think it's soon. 19th, yeah. So coming around the corner. So this is more so just to kind of get us educated on what's coming with this, and possibly you guys, and get us, you know, more hyped. We've talked about Street Fighter 6 in the past on the channel, and I think we both came out of it liking it with some criticisms.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty convinced I'm buying it. So
yeah, so I'll definitely be checking out this open beta because I think the last thing that they had out was a nice little sample, but I want to see a little bit more of like the game itself.
It was definitely a sample, though.
Yeah, it's like 2 characters and not a whole lot going on, but that this will offer more has me more interested for sure. So, yeah, thoughts before we watch this?
I don't know if I have thoughts as much as just if I'm not mistaken, I think they're gonna have 4 characters for us to play this time instead of 2. Which
Guile's gonna be one of them, I think.
Yeah, and I hope the beta, which I'm sure it'll say here in a second, but I still hope it has like the single player to kind of mess around with a little more, though they already kind of let us test that, so maybe not. But that was my only complaint about the last beta, was that I had to play with the simple control scheme in the single player mode. I hated that. So
yeah,
but I know in the full game I'll be able to pick, and I will be switching it to more technical because I I prefer that myself. So
for sure. All right, ready to watch this?
Yep.
All right, this is Street Fighter 6 official open beta Battle Hub overview. Rolls right off the tongue in 3, 2, 1, and go. Anytime.
Welcome back, fighters. Vicious here with the second entry of the open beta video series, this time taking you to the main community feature,
through the
Battle Hub. From playing matches with the community all the way to tricking out your avatar, the Battle Hub is the perfect place to get yourself acquainted with fellow players. With the Street Fighter 6 open beta coming up between May 19th through May 21st, this is the primer you need to get yourself ready in the world of Street Fighter 6.
They have a social hub.
Without further ado, let's take a closer look at what awaits you here at the Battle Hub.
I can still
Street Fighter 6's Battle Hub is an interactive space where players can hang out, improve on their skills, communicate, and face off against fighters from all around the world.
I just love that it has like
the
an
Battle
arcade
Hub ties
vibe to
together
it.
elements from both World Tour and Fighting Grounds. With these two major features in mind, we'll be explaining what to expect here at the Battle Hub. In the open beta, you'll start off with creating your very own avatar. With a huge array of robust customizable features, you'll be able to create an avatar that you could show off in the Battle Hub. Here's just a sample of the creative options at your disposal when creating an avatar.
It's funny, one of my big complaints with fighting games for years has been like a lack of like a single player, like more casual friendly mode.
After you have finished creating your avatar, it's time to step into the Battle Hub.
Video game.
As soon as you step in, you'll notice a variety of different battle cabinets.
Old fighting games
Depending on which battle cabinet you approach, players will be able to challenge each other in a match, test their wits in extreme battles, or even enjoy some classic Capcom arcade titles at the Game Center. The majority of cabinets surrounding the inner part of the Battle Hub are dedicated towards versus gameplay with the available open beta characters.
It's like a
We'll have plenty more details regarding these cabinets in the next video. Alongside the outside walls of the Battle Hub, you will find the Extreme Battle cabinets as well as the Game Center. The Extreme Battle feature offers a party-type vibe with battles utilizing unique rules and gimmicks that aren't normally seen in a regular match.
Yes, neat.
In the Game Center, players can play a variety of classic Capcom titles from the past. Different classic titles will be available during certain time periods, so keep on visiting the Game Center to see what's available.
Switch out and stuff. Weird.
Yeah. I mean, they own the titles, so it's kind of neat they're throwing them in there.
If you're looking to add a little bit of extra style to your avatar to make it stand out in the Battle Hub, you can check the Hub Goods Shop for different items and apparel to keep your avatar looking as flashy as your gameplay.
Social situation that they got going on with this game.
Dude, I do too. It's so cool.
Yeah, they're really going all out with this.
As you can see, there is so much to do in the Battle Hub. In between your gaming sessions, why don't you take a break? Feel free to interact within the environment in a variety of ways, such as showing off your favorite emotes, spinning bird kick, taking photos around the Battle Hub, or even hanging out at the DJ booth. In the meantime, fighters, that's all for now in regards to the Battle Hub. Don't forget the Street Fighter 6 open beta begins from May 19th through May 21st. Street Fighter 6 is the official game of the Capcom Pro Tour, and it's starting summer 2023. Winning any CPT online event means you qualified for Capcom Cup and have an opportunity to win the $1 million grand prize. So, visit CapcomProTour.com for more details and tournament rules. We'll see you all at the Pro Tour.
I don't know what the fuck that is, dude. What's he got going on here?
The Street Fighter 6 demo is also now available for download. Check it out now for a sneak peek into the game.
Yeah, I already tried
Thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for part 3 of the series as we go over the competitive aspect of Street Fighter 6, such as online matches, in-game tournaments, and of course, the Capcom Pro Tour. We'll see you all for the next one.
All right, what do we think?
It was nice to see all that stuff. I like we kind of said, going through it or whatever, they really are just kind of going all out with this one, which I really like. It's basically gonna be tricky for me because it definitely looks like they're trying to just do online matchmaking for it, which is good. They need to do that. Obviously, I play fighting games more like personally with people, not with random people. Usually I'm not like super competitive. I play them for fun. So, but I know a couple of people who like fighting games, so I'll have people to play with on it.
I wonder if you'll be able to do like private servers.
Well, I assume you just make sure you sit at the same cabinet. Because
Yeah.
it's going to be like Guilty Gears Online where there's like podiums and you just both make sure to stand at the same one.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, the style for this game has just been cool anyways. And they're just really bringing that also to the online hub part of it. Because like that's been kind of a tricky thing for a lot of fighting games is to make a hub that makes sense. I feel like they've made one that makes sense, but also lets you just have social stuff as well, which is really cool. As much as I love Guilty Gear Strive, the online hub sucks. Like it's pretty bad. They tried something. I'm glad they did, but yeah, I don't want to see it again going forward. So
yeah, I know some people have tried doing those kind of like hub-based things in fighting games, and the idea has always sounded cool to me, but I feel like this is going to be the best implementation of it. Seems like they've really thought it out and thought about not only is it just a place where you can show off your character and fight each other, but also there's like social features, emotes, a shop, and then like other things to do. I also thought it was really neat that they have like bonus, more party mode style games to play, which will make it feel like I was saying before, like a more like a social area where like, you know, you have decisions and choices of things you want to do here. And for people who are like super into fighting games, but also just like Street Fighter, I think it's gonna be super welcoming for them to have an online community hub to hang out in, because that's something that you don't really get as much with games like this, as opposed to even like racing games. You know, Forza is pretty good about connectivity, but like the hang there is just like driving next to each other and then doing the races, which is great, but like, you know, it doesn't have that social element that, you know, this is trying to go for. That, you know, if you play an MMO, you get typically, you expect it, but in games like this, you don't really expect it. So it seems like they're doing a good job with that.
yeah, no, it's cool. You know, the test is coming out here pretty soon. I'm looking forward to trying it, especially because I get to actually try it on my computer this time. I played on, you know, PlayStation last time, and as much as I don't mind playing on PlayStation, I don't like the PS5 controller for fighting games. So I don't think the D-pad is my preference. I like the PS4 one a little better when it comes to fighting games. So I'm looking forward to be able to like play in a more comfortable situation there. I can't do the joystick thing. I think it's cool, but I can't really do it. I have not tried. There's another type of like joystick where it's like joystick-less and it's just 4 buttons that you rest your hand on the side, and they're the same as the attack buttons, but it's supposed to be better for your wrists. So it's just up, down, left, right. You know, essentially.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen that or not.
Oh, they're pretty cool looking for sure, because it's still like a cabinet style, but just no joystick. So
yeah, I've always appreciated that people make those, and some people want to buy those, but it's never been my thing.
No, yeah. Well, like, we're going to a little bit of story time here. We went to that barcade and played some Street Fighter Alpha 2. I could play, but I was making mistakes left and right because just the joystick isn't my comfort zone.
Yeah. If you practice enough, you'd get it down. But yeah, it's not something that I prefer. So I'm not going to put time in to get better at it.
Yeah. Well, and fighting games are all about your controller preference anyway. So you should play where you're comfortable. That's where you're going to be the best. So
plus it's scary because I was playing Soul Calibur at that arcade, and how much aggression I was trying to put into doing the moves. I felt like I was really yanking the joystick to the right to run at people. And I was like, damn, dude, like I don't get that reaction when I'm just pressing, you know, D-pad or whatever. So yeah, it's definitely not my preference, but it's still kind of fun in a novelty way.
Yeah. I also like, they showed there a person just like in a costume. I think that's great that they're not, it's not just serious outfits only. It's like there's plenty of like fun to be had, and they own a ton of IPs. You're gonna see Devil May Cry stuff. You're gonna see Mega Man stuff. You're gonna see you know, hopefully stuff like Lost Planet and
Capcom's always been really good about cross-promoting their games into other games. So.
Yeah, so you're going to have lots of fun little outfits and accessories and stuff for your characters too.
Monster Hunter.
Yep. Very cool. Also, the character creator I got to use in the last beta, it's pretty good. So
I didn't use it. I never even checked it out.
I made like 4 characters. So
yeah, apparently I skipped that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am too. I was already curious about it, but I didn't really look into what it was going to be offering. And watching this video definitely has me more interested. That I'm, we'll put time aside to try this because a lot of stuff they're doing here seems really cool. The fighting obviously is what you're playing it for, but the old school games I think is a really cool touch. I think the party games is something unexpected that definitely feels welcome. I'll be really curious to see how the fighting online against other people feels. I've had bad experiences in the past. There's been huge jumps in technology, I guess, since then when it comes to online fighting games. But my opinion on that is still kind of tainted from the old days of latency, which I'm a pretty competitive guy. So I feel typically if I get cheated out of a match because of technical issues, I get annoyed. And so if somebody's lagging around or, things aren't registering correctly, I don't want to play it because I'm not going to lose to someone who, possibly isn't even seeing the same thing I'm seeing. So it's just, stupid feeling. So hopefully this plays really well. I don't expect it to not because, it's Capcom and they have a long history of making fighting games. So hopefully the netcode is good. The customization looks good. I never fucked with that in the last thing, so I'll be interested in trying that out. Also, I love that there's stuff you're going to be able to buy. It gives you something to work towards when you're fighting people, accruing currency. Adds to the social element because your guy's going to look a certain way, and people are going to be able to tell how long you've been playing or how much you've been playing through what you have on. I'm sure that certain things will be more expensive than other things. Hopefully they do like timed events as well through this community. So, you can kind of see somebody made it to this event or whatever because they're wearing, this or that. There's a lot of potential with what they could do with this. And yeah, overall, it just looks really cool. I really like everything that they're doing with this Street Fighter. I haven't felt this interested in a Street Fighter in many generations of Street Fighter. So it seems like this is going to be the one for me to get back into because it's been a while. So I've dabbled with like the last couple Street Fighters, but they never hooked me. So this one definitely seems a lot more robust and up my alley. So
yeah, I haven't been super into a Street Fighter game since the PlayStation 1 era. So it's been a while.
Yeah, same. It's been a long time. So anything else?
Nope.
All right, let us know in the comments what do you guys think about Street Fighter 6 official open beta Battle Hub overview. Are you excited to try this out? Are you not excited for some reason? And what are you most excited to get your hands on? Whether it's playing against other people online, you want to play the old games, do you want to check out the party games? What do you think about the customization? And yeah, let us know what you're thinking about in the comments below when it comes to Street Fighter 6. Last video we're watching out of the many videos we are watching this episode is Diablo 4 behind the scenes story. This is going to give us a peek behind the scenes of the development of Diablo 4 that I believe had a beta recently. You don't know? Yeah, I saw a video where a guy said that there wasn't as many people in this beta as the last one, so I don't know if a whole lot of people knew it even happened. But yeah, this is coming out, I think, soon. And I played, not this last beta, but the beta before, and it was pretty good. Visually, I thought the game looked good. It played well. Skill tree wasn't as exciting as I wanted it to be, but I only got to level like 23. So, of course, there's still plenty to unlock. And yeah, I figured this would be a good video to kind of give us some insight on what's going on with the development of this game and get us excited for the game, possibly. Do you have anything you want to say about this? I know you're probably not going to play this game.
I won't be, yeah.
Yeah, so this is purely for me and you guys, and you can give us your opinions on the game after you watch this video. This is behind the scenes story in 3, 2, 1, go.
story in Diablo 4 will appeal to both new players and hardcore Diablo fans. And when writing this next chapter, we really wanted to return to our darker roots.
Sanctuary is in a very interesting state right now. It's 50 years after Reaper of Souls from Diablo 3, where half of the population was exterminated by an archangel. The world has seen quite a bit of changes, quite a bit of scarring from its wounds that have not totally healed.
In these years of death and decimation, power vacuums have opened up and been filled by various factions you'll actually get to interact with in Diablo 4. Heroes of the past that we've known and loved have long since faded into memory, as well as an iconic order known as the Haradrim.
The world is a bit broken and wounded, and it's in this fragile state that Inarius and Lilith return, and they are the makers of Sanctuary, and their return may not mean the best for humanity.
Before Sanctuary was created, the heavens and the hells were battling each other in a non-stop war. Our Sanctuary was created by disenfranchised rebel angels and demons that wanted out. They didn't want to be a part of this never-ending war because there was literally no point. Two of those people were Inarius and Lilith.
Lilith is a demon and Inarius is an angel. They were part of the eternal conflict between heaven and hell, in which they were constantly fighting with each other.
When Lilith captured Inarius, she was ready to torture him, but when she learned that they're of like mind, she became his partner in crime. They stole a singular, most important object known as the World Stone, a massive, iconic, mountain-sized gem that has the ability of creation.
Inarius and Lilith helped to create the world of Sanctuary.
And that's where the name of the world comes from. It was their sanctuary to hide away from the eternal conflict.
They both have similar goals, but as an angel and as a demon, have different ways of going about it.
Inevitably, it wasn't going to last. They've clashed multiple times throughout the history of the Diablo universe. And the last time they met, Inarius banished Lilith from the world and locked her in this realm of darkness.
We wouldn't see Lilith again until the cinematic By 3 They Come, when a mysterious figure pulled her back into Sanctuary and set her loose on the world she helped create.
Inarius also suffered when the heavens found out where he was and what he had done, that he had created this world. He was punished and handed over to the burning hells as a peace offering.
Because of these two experiences, both Lilith and Inarius do share that they were betrayed and they've been disillusioned. That does not mean that they get along.
There's this rare moment in time where Inarius and Lilith are back on the world.
It is them fighting each other with humanity as their battleground.
When the story of Diablo 4 begins, this wanderer is trudging through the snowstorm in a place called the Fractured Peaks. Really, they're just looking for some shelter.
The player character in Diablo 4 is whoever the player wants to be. Are they running from something? Are they running to something? What kind of a person are they? We leave that up to them to decide.
They are seeking refuge from this blistering cold that saturates everything within the Fractured Peaks. They find a cave, and it is that moment where they're pulled into the bigger events of Sanctuary, these monumental moments that will be taking place that will shape and shake the world. It has been 50 years since Malthael, the aspect of death, culled about 50% of humanity. Humans struggle to survive in that 50-year gap after that massive culling. The humanity itself is trapped between the high heavens and the burning hells, and each are trying to influence humanity in their own way. The player's asked to save Sanctuary by a specific character that we actually remember from Reaper of Souls. His name is Lorath.
Which is good if he's working on it.
Lorath in Diablo 4 is not the same Lorath from Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls. He's a changed man. He was a member of the Haradrim. And the Haradrim is this secretive order of scholars and mages who protect the world from demons and other supernatural threats.
Lorath is much older and weathered from the things that he's seen. He is struggling with who he is with the Haradrim and even without the Haradrim.
When Lorath learns of the player's interactions with a being that he remembers very well, he pulls him into this mission to stop Lilith.
They will need to try to figure out a way to survive in the world of Sanctuary in all of its turmoil since Lilith has come back. We have a lot of new characters that you'll be experiencing in the world of Sanctuary. One of them is Prava. She leads the Cathedral of Light. The Cathedral of Light is a militaristic faction led by Inarius. Inarius is the ultimate supreme leader, but she handles the day-to-day.
She acts as a bridge between Inarius and the other followers of the Cathedral of Light.
She was at rock bottom when Inarius met her. As you can imagine on Sanctuary, life is brutal. Inarius uplifted her and taught her the tenets of the Cathedral of Light.
Ever since then, she's become his most loyal, fervent follower. She would do anything for him, and she just really believes in what he stands for.
Inarius is in various states of bitterness. You're seeing a faction that has done as much good as necessarily bad. You as a player get to decide how you feel about those actions, and Prava will be at the forefront of all of it.
Donan, he's one of the Herodrim. He is this very gifted mage who also is a scholar. We find him in this place called Scotsglen, where he's made a name for himself and become something of a hero. In Diablo 4, we'll find out what Donan's relationship with Lorath is and the Herodrim and how he became a hero in this place. Neyrelle is this young adventurer. She has traveled the world with her mother looking for lost artifacts. She's spent her life going through old ruins and reading old texts and learning these arcane things. Together, they're searching for the remnants of the Herodrim. They believe in finding that they'll find some purpose.
She is someone who is very intent on stopping Lilith, so she becomes a very strong ally for you and for Lorath throughout the game.
It's through her actions that Lorath and the group that you will follow will come to contend against Lilith.
Something that we tried to do from a narrative perspective is create people that are living in a very dark place, but still trying their best to live.
They'll have some scars, but they also have these pieces of beauty and humanity. We wanted to ground them in the circumstances of the world and make them feel real and relatable.
With Diablo 4, you're very much watching a tragedy unfold. It's definitely a story that we wanted to create around people, not just the apocalyptic elements that surround the story. And that's something that we really sought to bring to you as a part of the Diablo narrative.
Lilith is free, she has some followers, and she's back on her old business. She's gonna corrupt us or try to turn us to her side for her own ends.
The story of Lilith and Inarius is the darkest story we've ever told, and it expands the mythos of Sanctuary and the lore of the series like never before.
All right. That was interesting because it didn't really cover any gameplay, of course. They're talking about the story, and I can't go into detail of like every little thing they talked about, but the big thing I got out of that, and it reminded me that when I played the beta, I actually thought the way they handled the story was actually much better than I expected it to be. It was very cinematic. It was a lot darker and disturbing than I was expecting a modern game from Blizzard to be like. So that was nice. But the thing that I think is neat about the story, at the very least, is just the amount of characters and factions and stuff at play here, especially if it carries on after Diablo 3. But the idea of two sides from different sides having this relationship and this dynamic, and that they're both not necessarily, like, they're obviously both bad in a way, but like that they're making it almost ambiguous on, like, you know, Lilith is going to try and get you to do her bidding or be her enemy, essentially. And it kind of seems the same when she said that, what's his name? Inarius? Inarius. At one point, they called him Inarius, and then another one said Inarius with two eyes, which I thought was weird. But they don't even know their own character's name. That he sounds like he's up to some bullshit, too, even though they're both from different sides. They're both kind of outliers of those sides. So at least they're getting creative with it, because the Diablo storyline is interesting enough, but me and you can't remember Diablo 3 storyline at this point. I mean, that game's been out for so long now, and I haven't played it in years. But it does typically come down to, outside of small details when you play through a Diablo game, to defeat Diablo. And so I was curious about, when this game was coming out, what they would do story-wise to make it interesting. And it does sound like they've thought about it. So I do appreciate that. Hopefully they can convey it in a way that is impactful and interesting enough. I do think the beta showed promise in that. If there's anything I can say about Diablo 4 from the impression I got from the beta, that's just positive across the board, it's the way they're telling story in it. It's the best Diablo has been in terms of that. And I think most ARPG, top-down ARPGs, it does the best job that I've seen so far in a game like that. So definitely better than Wolcen, even though I thought Wolcen, for what it was worth, did it pretty decently as well. So, but yeah, cool to see. I'm glad they're thinking a lot about the lore and characters, and it seems like they put a lot of work into the story, which is good to see. Because if I'm being honest, from my perspective, don't have like a whole lot of faith in Blizzard as a company anymore. So at least with this, it seems like they're achieving something. So
yeah, I don't think I've ever honestly cared about the story of Diablo. I didn't play Diablo 1, 2, or 3 for the story. I played for the gameplay of going through the different levels, fighting the bosses, getting the loot, leveling my character to a fashion, especially as the games got newer and whatnot, to make builds.
That's a bad habit I have with the genre in general, because like I've played through Grim Dawn twice. I'm not even sure what the story is of it. I know the story of Wolcen, but it was a very cinematic game.
I have a pretty loose idea of the story of when we're supposed to be playing this month.
Last Epoch.
But
yeah. That was going to be my point, is even Last Epoch, I was like, this is an indie game. It's unfinished. They just added multiplayer for the first time. I'm just going to level up a character and see what the builds are like. And I started playing it and not even worrying about the story. And then I'm like hours and hours into it. And Josh is talking to me about it. He's like, it's pretty good. Like the story's interesting too. I'm like, is it? I don't even know.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't catch every little bit of it. I also, don't have the best memory, but yeah. I know like key points and like, the reason for the different time shifts and stuff like that. So,
yeah. So wrapping it back around, I can't even blame Diablo necessarily for my lack of paying attention to story. Because
I'm not blaming them at all.
With the genre, it seems like it's a weak point of mine to just not pay attention to the stories a whole lot.
I mean, obviously, like it is the game's job to try to captivate you a little bit in that, but at the time I played those games, that was not my focus of the genre to pay attention to the story much. And honestly, the story always came off kind of like pretty straightforward up until Diablo 3, to be honest. So, yeah. I don't know if I have a whole lot to say about this, because it is literally just a story video. They seem passionate about it. It looks like they put a lot of work into it. From what I've heard from people, it seems to be positive in that regard of it. And I think if you're looking forward to this game, that's great. So,
and you wish them the best.
I do. I hope it's a great game for you.
Fair enough. All right, well, let us know in the comments what do you guys think about the behind the scenes of the story of Diablo 4. Are you guys excited for Diablo 4? If you played the beta, what was your favorite part about the beta? We can have that conversation again, because I didn't play the last beta. I don't know what they did in terms of... actually, I heard a little bit about it. I guess they nerfed like 3 characters and buffed 2 of them. I think the rogue, druid, and the sorcerer chick.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be treated like a service game, and they'll be doing balance changes every couple of weeks.
That's the thing I'm like not that excited about when it comes to the game, is they're gonna treat it like WoW and Overwatch, where like one character that's viable now will be not viable later, and then come back later and be overpowered, and that just gets kind of exhausting for me. So I mean, I get balance or whatever, but I also miss the days of just playing a game and characters were established and done at that point. But I get in like a PvP game sometimes, because like obviously you got to make sure something's not unbalanced when you're against people. But in co-op games, I'm less interested in it. So, but anyway, let us know everything you think about when it comes to Diablo 4 in the comments below. All right, it's that time again where we reflect on past episodes, and we reply to your comments. So if you want your comment to be read for sure, type in hashtag STLG so I could find your comment easily. Makes it easy for me, and it also prioritizes your comment above the rest. Otherwise, I read at random. But we only have one video I'm going to be reading comments from this week, and yeah, we're just gonna go through that. So this is from the last Tasty Cast, which was 186, where we talked about game releases, Redfall, Phil Spencer being down bad, and we covered Chrono Odyssey, which is a brand new MMO that you guys should definitely check out, or check out this episode and see what we had to say about it. But we got 3 comments about this, and I'm gonna read them. So the first one is from K Chapel, Chapel, saying Outlast Trials come out the 18th of May, but it's early access to could be a hit or a miss, but will most definitely be fun. I actually am glad that you commented this, because this is a game that I've been wanting to try. I never got into the beta, and as of right now, it's a day away. So I'll definitely be checking this out. This was not on my radar because I completely forgot it was coming out. And when we did game releases this episode, it wasn't on that list. So if it is in fact coming out on the 18th, thanks for reminding me, because it's a game I'm curious about. That's the next Outlast game, but it's like a multiplayer game. So I'm definitely interested in that. So do you have anything? Nothing.
No.
Yeah, nothing off. Yeah. Thanks for the comment. Oh God, my throat. All right, next one is from Psycho Scream, saying, very hot take. I think Xbox put too much of their focus on buying up gaming studios that they couldn't properly allocate funds to these phantom games they're working on. Same goes for Sony. They're trying to cockblock Xbox at every turn and counter buy studios that the games they got coming out are pretty much half-baked or less. I don't know if it's it's a hot take in terms of like whatever side you're on. The opposite side is not going to be happy about what you're saying, but I do agree with you in terms of Xbox. I think a big problem with Xbox under Phil Spencer, and I think he's done a lot of good things, and I think Phil Spencer's great, before anybody's like, oh, you're just a hater, blah, blah, blah. I think Phil Spencer prioritized too hard on Game Pass, and it worked out because Game Pass is a very great value that I don't think makes them a whole lot of money, but people like it, and it's definitely worth the values there. Their system's really good, but that's one of their biggest things they prioritize. The second thing that they prioritize, when people kept saying, you guys don't got games, where's the games, where's the games, where's the exclusives, is they did the Microsoft thing, and they just bought studios who are already in the middle of making games. And so, we can have discussion on whether they should do that or not. They did that, but the problem is for like 2 years now, 2.5 years, we've been told about all these games, that all these studios that were supposed to be bringing all these awesome AAA games to Xbox. We've been hearing about these games coming, but we're not seeing them, let alone seeing gameplay of them. And so it comes into like, well, where are the games at? What happened to all those purchases you made? What was the point of all that? It starts becoming kind of confusing. So as for the allocating funds, I don't know if they have problems allocating funds, because Microsoft has plenty and they're willing to lose money. Look at their streaming service. They just dropped out of nowhere. But I think you have a point in terms of them focusing on buying up game studios. So yeah, and then you said same goes for Sony. They're trying to cockblock Xbox. They're definitely being Sony and combating Xbox. They're very very good at that. At every turn, and counter buy studios that the games they got coming out are pretty much half-baked or less. They did buy a couple studios for sure. I think one of them that worked out for them pretty well is Insomniac. But they are buying a lot of little studios as well. But I do see them they have a strategy they're working towards. And I think it's too early to know if that's going to be beneficial for them or not. But it does seem like some of them might be half-baked for sure. But they're later in this strategy than Xbox. So it's easier to be a little more critical of where we're at with Xbox. But I have a feeling outside of Insomniac, like they bought, or they're at least working with that chick, Jade Raymond, who worked at Ubisoft. She's working on I think a first-person shooter for PlayStation. I forgot the name of the dev now, but that was like an acquisition thing, or at least a dev being built by PlayStation. I don't remember, but we haven't seen shit on that. So it's like, where's that at? So we're a couple years into this gen, and it seems like I think PlayStation's done a pretty good job at rolling out games, but like there's still a lot of like mystery on like so many games promised early on. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, I don't think it's too hot of a take, but it's definitely a bold take that could definitely upset people who don't agree with it. So, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I guess I would just need examples of not on the Xbox side. You know, there's not really examples to give. They're not releasing anything, but with the Sony aspect of that, the half-baked or less, I'm drawing a blank on anything that I've played of that's theirs recently that I would consider to be half-baked. So I guess I would need examples on that one before having a solid opinion. But
he might be talking about too, like they bought, they keep buying all these like little indie companies.
Okay.
I don't know what they're putting out, so maybe those were half-baked.
Yeah,
I'm ignorant on it. So
yeah, I don't. I guess I just don't know at what aspect we're talking about there, because all I know of them so far is AAA games, and those have all been pretty good. So
yeah, I think you'd have a hard time arguing against that. The PC ports are a different thing.
Yeah.
But
so I guess more clarity on that.
But he makes a decent point when he says, and it'd be hard to deny PlayStation cock blocking Xbox.
Sony's always been aggressive.
They've always been aggressive in every department.
Yeah.
You should see their. It's funny because like I buy a lot of Sony products, but like I'm also into photography and cameras, and to watch their strategy that you see with PlayStation against Xbox translate over to Sony versus Canon and Nikon, it's the same thing. They wait until somebody makes their move and then they drop their thing. And it's to undermine whatever the hell hype the person's trying to do. So they do the same thing. Xbox, anytime Xbox has something to say, they're like, we got a big event coming up. And then like PlayStation 2 days later is like, we have a big event coming up. And that big game you want to see, we're definitely going to show you. Canon's like, oh, we got this brand new high-end camera. And everybody's like, oh, that's neat. And then 2 weeks later, Sony's like, we got a crazier camera coming out. It's like, how long were you sitting on that? I think they wait. So
it's kind of like the guy who makes all the hot chilies, how he's got like 2 steps ahead already made.
He's planning ahead. Yeah. I think Sony's really, I think it's part of the strategy. But they've been making tech for so long now that I think it's just part of how they run their business. Well, we saw that with the PS4 versus the Xbox One. That whole thing was dependent on what Xbox did, the way they announced the PS4.
Well, and Sony went through a hard dip in all their departments at one point too. Sure. So I mean, like this is just them going, we can't do that again as well. So I think Microsoft's going through that dip right now, and Nintendo went through it with Wii U. Like so. I don't think Microsoft's going anywhere.
Well, the thing that sucks about the Xbox right now is the Xbox seems to be in recovery mode from the last gen because that was their dip. But it doesn't seem like a strong recovery yet. Yeah. People make arguments for Game Pass all the time, which it's great. But like we're talking about Xbox, the brand, they have not recovered from the last gen still. They start pulling out a little bit, but we're not. Even the Xbox people are like, where's the games at?
Sure. And if you are the type of person who looks at Game Pass and go, well, this is Xbox now. Well, that's fine. You can be happy with that all you want. But there are people like you're saying that there's all these games that Microsoft is like, hey, we're making these first party games, regardless of acquisition or not. They're first party games now, but they're just not happening. So
yeah, the only problem with when people like Game Pass is Xbox now. That's fine. You can have that opinion and you can argue that Xbox has that strategy going forward. But when someone criticizes Xbox, don't be quick to defend Xbox if you're ready to abandon ship for Game Pass, because fucking in the realm of other consoles that exist already, the Xbox is a relevant conversation to have. And so if you're ready to just be like, well, that's not Xbox anymore, Game Pass is, don't get upset when they talk about it then.
Yeah.
Microsoft made the decision to put that out the way they did. That was part of their strategy. They planned that for years and they executed on it for years. And so if it's not meeting the standards of other people buying other consoles and people on Xbox are ready to be like, well, Game Pass is where they went. Well, then forget about Xbox then. But they won't do that. So that conversation just doesn't go anywhere. So, but then I think also with the cock block thing, he's talking more recently with the major acquisition Xbox is going for. And of course, Sony had a problem with that. I think they are being more dramatic than they need to be, but they're trying to win. And so when they're saying like, we can't produce a Call of Duty, we can't blah, blah, blah. Well, you're not trying, first off. You just don't want to lose. And they wouldn't lose it. Xbox already said they wouldn't, but they don't want to lose their exclusivity and control and ability to make money off of COD, because who the fuck would want to just lose that avenue? But when they're like, we can't do this, it's gonna destroy. They're only saying that because legally that gives them an edge, and so yeah, they're being dramatic.
Yeah, that's also, and obviously,
but it is a cock block.
It is, Sony and Microsoft, but this is also like their lawyers doing this stuff. So,
well, it was,
but I think Sony wasn't even the big problem. I think at the EU or whatever, someone in Europe is the issue.
Yeah, but Sony was over there too, advocating for themselves.
I'm sure they were.
Yeah. And when people are like talking shit about them, I'm like, why wouldn't they though? Like, if they can make it so they can't get that and give them that edge. If you're rooting for Xbox, you want that to happen. If you're rooting against Xbox, you don't want it to happen. But on a business level, it makes no sense for Sony to not try and get involved with that, because they already had business relations with the properties that they're purchasing now. It's going to affect their business. So, of course, they're going to try and battle. It doesn't matter if you fucking agree with them or not. They're still going to try, and they should, whether they win or lose. I mean, just like Xbox, if they want to spend the money and fucking purchase that, and it's fucking legal to do that, whether you want them to do that or not, they're going to fucking do it, because they see a strategy there and they see that it's going to help their business.
Well, sure. It's the same idea. Like, it's going to be a weird example, but like, when Monster Energy Drink sued Bang over wording on a label. They didn't do that.
An opportunity.
Yeah, they didn't do that because they were looking out for the consumers out there about the advertising on the label. Monster was like, hey, there's an opportunity to get rid of competition. That's literally all that is. Is it, like, regardless of how you feel about it, that's the reality of it. So
yeah, it's just like talking about drinks and business. Pepsi is popular now, but like Coke has the edge on Pepsi still, because back in the day when Pepsi showed up, Pepsi wanted access to the Coca that they used for flavoring in Coca-Cola, but Coca-Cola has like the rights to it. Like, nobody else can have it. And so Pepsi had to make their own. They couldn't make a drink similar to it. They had to make their own thing. That's why they taste so different. Is that fair? No, it's not. But Coca-Cola was able to do that. Yeah. So, businesses are going to do what they can do to get leverage and to benefit themselves. So it's messy. But a lot of people would argue too that buying Activision Blizzard's ridiculous. So, and then also PlayStation, whining a lot to try and get them to not be able to do it. A lot of people aren't happy with it. So it's all kind of messy, but overall, I pretty much agree with the gist of what you're saying in terms of like, Xbox's focus could have been better, but who am I don't run anything except for this channel. And Sony is definitely reacting to them for sure, and they're gonna, because like I said, all their departments are like this, so it's definitely a Sony strategy. So anything else you want to say? All right, thank you for the comment, Psycho Scream. And the last one we got is from Ego Border. It's a big one, so we're going to go piece by piece here. First part says, oh God, I just messed my contact up. It's no exaggeration or insult to call Redfall a Nintendo 64 game. I say this specifically because I remember Time Splitters, made by some of the GoldenEye 64 devs, releasing on the GameCube. And even though that game was clearly unfinished, it nailed the feel of GE's weighty console shooting while evolving everything about weapons, animations, and general presentation. What was missing was the coherent story or even scenario for the campaign, but it was hard to feel entirely fleeced, especially with MP, what does that say?
ANPA, yeah.
The level creator. Redfall is a regression to the scope of an N64 game in almost every respect. AI, mission design, presentation, accessibility, quality assurance had a shocking fail here down a pretty long corporate line. It's confusing because Microsoft could take a loss and make it free to play. Curiosity. Hey guys, Arcane made this in their spare time. How about a horror loot shooter you can expect even monthly content for? Either way, sorry, my contact is like messed up, so I'm trying to read this. Either way, without condoning any contact aside, then greeting Arcane coldly until they redeem themselves, Redfall is an insulting release. It was promoted and they even took pre-orders for this crap, but even for free, it felt like it was a waste of time for the 3 hours I tried it. Oh, so you did play it. Edit. Oh yeah, how about the scummy CG trailer, even though final release had no cutscenes? Yeah, it's kind of a shitty tactic some people use. Last part says, as a Sony diehard, you might expect me to cheer Microsoft failure, but I've always enjoyed the healthy competition. Agreed. And in terms of Sony extorting exclusivity from Eastern devs, publishers, and sinking Microsoft Activision purchase, it brings me no joy to enjoy a brand knowing other games had a shitty selection for spite. I mean, that last part I agree with you 100%. We talk about it all the time, and I'm sure you know at this point. We also think competition is important. Healthy competition, it's a good way to put it. You don't want just one person doing everything. And when you see someone as big as Microsoft and the Xbox brand having problem after problem after problem, and then you're seeing PlayStation having like these wins outside the PC sector. Obviously, they're having issues with like some of their releases there. It's not fun. I know like people who are into like console war shit, they enjoy the wins and the W's and L's. But for me, I want there's a whole other avenue of games that could be developed and I get to play and enjoy that can come from Xbox. And same thing with Sony. And if one person does something really good, the other person might do something even better. And that just makes gaming better for me as a player. And so, yeah, I'm never like, oh man, Microsoft's doing bad. That's awesome. Or like, oh man, Sony really fucked up. That's awesome. Like that's not positive for anybody. It's only positive if you enjoy the idea that other people are having a bad time. And that's shitty. So, yeah, I agree with you there. The 64 analogy is really interesting. And you're right about the quality assurance and that they just put this thing out in this way. It is 100% insulting, in my opinion. Regardless of if you like this game. I've talked to people who enjoyed Redfall on launch. I talked to a lot of people who did not like it and were very critical of it. But regardless of where you stand there, the way the game came out should not be supported. If you already pre-ordered it or you bought it and you're okay with accepting it, that's fine. But we should still look at how it came out and really want to reject that. I saw a lot of people talking about how they were rethinking pre-orders. This is something me and you have just been on for a long time, many generations of gaming. Not a big pre-order guy, but it's good that that conversation's happening, because what are you doing when you're pre-ordering? You're giving them money for something they haven't even proven yet. And so this is a game in that case, and it came out in a horrendous state. It is an insult. Even if you're like, it's not that bad, it's still an insult because they took your money and they gave you something broken. And this isn't me picking on Redfall. Plenty of games come out broken. This is not something that we should accept. This is something that we should always be fucking critical of. Even if you're enjoying the game, you should be critical of it. My review, or our review of Wild Hearts, a game I gave an A-, I complained throughout that whole review about the stuttering and said it's unacceptable. right? And so I bought the game, I'm playing and I'm enjoying it, but I'm still vocal about things that I think are completely wrong with it, because it shouldn't have that stutter. And in fact, a new patch just came out, and I think it did a bunch of performance stuff, has DLSS now and shit. So let's hope, fingers crossed, they fix it. But yeah, I'm somebody who's able to look at something and go, I like it, but it's got some problems. Like Cyberpunk, I think Cyberpunk's fantastic. It was broken for a lot of people when it came out. It's unacceptable. Same thing with Redfall. Redfall, we all watched the video. There's a lot of problems with that game, and hopefully they fix some of it. But regardless of if you're liking it or not, everybody should understand that the game should have not launched like that. It should have been delayed because they released a broken product to people and took their money. And even Phil Spencer said that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you should definitely be making it right for the people who spent money. That's like, and you should be somewhat, happy about that. But we shouldn't be just accepting. Every game shouldn't be, a Final Fantasy 14, a No Man's Sky. Like these games should be coming out playable when they come out, not completely broken and then like having to have a comeback story. Like this shouldn't be the standard. So
one thing I love about Steam is I'll buy a game on there, and I buy a lot of early access games, and sometimes there's problems. It doesn't work right. Connection to like whatever online servers doesn't work very well. It's got servers or whatever. I'll refund it, and I'll type. You don't have to, but I always type in as feedback. I'm like, game's broken. I'm not going to play it like this. I'll get my money back. I'll go buy something else. But that gives me the ability to get my money back from that person. But then if they fix the game later, I'll pick it up later. So because I do have the ability to do it there, I'm able to choose to not support that even after I bought it. So yeah. As for the free-to-play thing, that's an interesting thing too. What do you think about them, like retro? Well, they have to refund the game, but
I mean, they didn't refund people for Battleborn.
True. So yeah, that's a tough thing. I just feel like Microsoft has the funds to be able to do that, like refund purchases of. I feel like most people played on Game Pass anyway. So
I think the biggest problem with the free-to-play discussion is that if it was never in the initial plan, it's actually not an easy fix.
Transition, yeah.
Typically what you'll see is a service game come out with the intent of being premium and a backup plan of being free. So I doubt they were thinking about it with this. So
yeah. Yeah, I've seen some games kind of transition over, but I think as like a way to try and give back to the people who feel maybe wronged by the game, it would be nice to go free to play, but a lot of those people probably, if they did buy the game already, didn't refund it, so you're just kind of fucking them over anyway. So maybe if it would have came out free to play, it would have been decent, but I don't think on release, whether it be free to play or premium like it did come out as, if they're willing to release it, they're willing to release it as it was. And so I don't think they really cared a whole lot. I think they cared about the reception they got after, and that made them go, oh shit, this was like worse than we thought it was. So, and then when it comes to the CG trailer thing, I've seen some games do that before too. That's just disingenuous, and that on top of what they released paints a pretty negligent picture, in my opinion. Whether it's on purpose or not, I don't know, but I doubt it was. But it seems like a lot of things were overlooked that shouldn't have been, and there's no excuse for it. So
yeah.
Anything else? Mm-mm. All right. Well, thank you for that, Ego Border. There's a lot of good stuff in there worth talking about. And thank you everybody who commented on this episode, and thank you everybody who watched that episode. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this episode of TasteCast, episode 187. As always, thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for joining me, Chevy. Until next episode, have a good one, guys, and take it easy. Let's jump to the outro. All right, that's gonna do it for this episode of TasteCast, episode 187. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on our socials and streams linked down below. Check out our Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. We're on iTunes, iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us. And we have a Patreon if you'd like to support the channel more than liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. If you're brand new, also check out my TikTok, link down below. I do a couple weekly shorts there that are always a lot of fun. You guys saw one at the beginning of this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And yeah, do all the liking, commenting stuff. We really appreciate it. And until the next episode, have a good one, guys, and take it easy.